NFL just changed. What controls your game? You just watched a call that may not have been made on the field, and you had no way to know. Because right now, the NFL can influence decisions from a room you never see while you are watching the game. This week, 4 things changed. Individually, they do not look connected, but together, they control everything you are watching. Sunday, living room, volume slightly too loud, same habit, same rhythm, same expectation. You sit down and trust what you see. You always have. The whistle blows, the play ends, the call is made, and you accept it. Even when it feels wrong, you accept it. Because somewhere deep down, you believe the system is fair. You believe what you are watching is real. But what if that changed, and you did not notice? What if the moment you trust the most is the one you should question? Because right now, you are watching a game where the final decision may no longer be made only on the field. It may be made somewhere else, somewhere you cannot see. And it is already happening. Not next season, not in the future. Right now, while you are watching, think about the last game you watched. The flag that changed everything. The call that felt wrong. The moment that cost your team. You blamed the referee. But what if the referee was not the only one involved in that call? We are getting there. In episode 1, the NFL was cracking. In episode 2, they started replacing. Episode 3's what they built while you were distracted. 4 moves. 7 days. All connected. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you are going to see something you cannot unsee. And once you see it, every game you watch after this will feel different. Not because the game changed, because your understanding of it did. Crack 1. Who controls your game? Here is the first move. The one you are never supposed to notice. When a flag is thrown, you think the referee made the call. That is what you have always believed. That is what the broadcast shows you. But that may no longer be the full picture. Because this week, NFL owners voted to expand the power of something most fans have never thought about. There is a room, not on the field, not inside the stadium, in New York, inside the NFL's own offices. It is called the Art McNally Game Day Central. It has existed since 2014. And every single game, it is watching. People sitting behind screens, watching the same play you just saw, but with a different level of authority. This week, that authority was expanded, unanimously, to allow intervention on called and uncalled penalties, roughing the passer, pass interference, ejections. Newark can now weigh in on all of them. The referee may no longer be the only voice on the call. He may be the messenger. And that changes more than it sounds. Because the call you are reacting to may have been shaped by people you never see on screen. People who work for the same league that profits from the outcome. Now they will tell you, this is about accuracy, about getting the call right. And maybe it is. But here's the question nobody is asking out loud. If New York weighs in on a call, who do you see on screen? The referee. He carries the reaction. And the people in New York are never in the frame. And there is a second layer. Because this is not happening in isolation. The NFL and its referees union are in a contract dispute. Their agreement expires May 31st. And the league has already begun identifying college officials as replacements. Division 1, Division 2, Division 3. Officials who have never worked at this level, who have never seen this speed, who have never felt this pressure. A league source told ESPN, this transition is a challenge to succeed. That is not outside criticism. That is internal concern. So now ask the real question. If the officials on the field may be less experienced, and the people in New York have more authority, where does the real influence sit? Think about that. Hold it. Because this was not a secret meeting. This was a unanimous vote by the owners of every team you follow on a Tuesday afternoon. While most fans were talking about the draft, nobody hid it. They just did not explain it. And there is a difference between those two things. Because that answer connects to everything else. And here's the part that should stay with you. Nobody hid this vote. It was reported. It was public. But it was never explained to you directly. There is a difference between those two things. Not deception. Assumption. The assumption that the structure of this game is not something fans need to understand. That you just need to watch and react and pay. Crack T apply. Why you are paying more. Now this is where it reaches you. Directly. Think about how you used to watch. No login. No subscription. No decision. You just turned on the TV, and the game was there. It was not something you paid for separately. It was just part of your life. Think about who you watched it with. Your grandfather, your father, an older brother, someone who taught you which team to follow, someone who made Sunday feel like something worth looking forward to. That person did not need a subscription for that. They just turned it on. Because it was there. Because it belonged to everyone. That world did not disappear overnight. It faded. Quietly. One deal at a time. one platform at a time. So slowly, you did not notice, until one day, you sat down, and the game was not there anymore. Amazon took Thursdays, Peacock took playoffs, Netflix took holidays, YouTube took exclusives. Each one took a piece. Each time, they called it access. Each time, it cost you more. Thanksgiving, Christmas, Black Friday, the days your family used to gather around the game, the moments that felt like tradition, not events, traditions, now behind a paywall. And now, to follow everything, you are paying close to $1,500 a year. That number did not exist 10 years ago, because the NFL is already generating over $23 billion a year, and their stated target is $25 billion. The traditional TV networks reached their limit, so the league moved to streaming. Platforms that need subscribers, platforms that need your data, platforms that need you locked in. Right now, in millions of living rooms, a fan is sitting in front of a paywall, a game they grew up watching, a team they have followed for 30 years. And they are reading, subscribe to continue. Some of them, the first time in their life, are saying no, not because they stopped caring, because the game stopped feeling like theirs. And that is not a small thing. That is the moment the relationship between a sport and its fans shifts from loyalty to transaction. And it is very hard to go back from that. Crack-free, what the government knows. This is where it connects, because this is no longer just about the game. The NFL went to Washington, not because they were called in. They chose to go. Prepared, structured, message ready. They brought 17 pages, filed publicly with the FCC, and the message was simple. Everything is fine. 87% of games remain on free television. We are good for fans. The same week, new streaming deals were being finalized. Two realities, one public, one private, both moving at the same time, and the public did not see both. The government noticed. 700 Americans submitted formal comments, not tweets, not complaints, formal submissions to a federal agency. That does not happen randomly. Think about how unusual that is. People do not typically write to the FCC about a sport. 700 of them. The FCC has opened an inquiry into NFL broadcasting practices. The Department of Justice has raised questions around the league's market practices. Two branches, same direction. And here is what makes that significant. The NFL has operated with an antitrust exemption since 1961. That exemption has protected the league from the kinds of challenges other businesses face for over 60 years. And now, two branches of the federal government are both paying attention at the same time. That does not happen without reason. Now think about what that means. This is the most profitable sports league in the world, and it chose to walk into a government office with a 17-page presentation saying everything is fine. Organizations that feel untouchable do not prepare 17-page defenses. Organizations that are managing a situation do. And a league that has operated with an antitrust exemption since 1961, one of the most protected businesses in American history, chose to walk into a government office and explain itself. That alone is worth paying attention to. When a system starts explaining itself, while changing itself, you are not watching stability. You are watching strategy. Crack 4, the silence. And this is what most people missed. While everything else was happening, the message was sent inside the system, not to fans, not to media, inside, to coaches, executives, decision makers. Do not speak, not publicly, not freely. And the result is visible. Careful answers, controlled responses. At the NFL's annual meetings in Phoenix, multiple head coaches declined to comment on officiating. Team owners gave carefully worded non-answers. One club owner told reporters, anonymously, "We have to be prepared for everything. Information does not stop. It gets filtered. And that matters. Because when information slows down, control speeds up. The people closest to the game know more than you do. But what reaches you is what they allow. And the fans are watching a draft, cheering for names on a stage, while everything that actually matters is being decided in rooms you do not have access to, voted on in meetings you were not told about, and managed through messaging you were never meant to see." Think about that pattern. The call comes from New York. The games move behind paywalls. The government gets a presentation. And the people closest to what is actually happening are speaking carefully. Not one of these things required your approval. Not one of these things was put to a vote. They just happened. 1 week, all connected. While the draft was on, while you were watching. 4 cracks. 1 week, all connected. Crack 1, control over the call. Crack 2, control over access. Crack 3, control over narrative. Crack 4, control over information. They do not need the game to be better. They need you to keep watching. The call does not need to be perfect. It needs to feel unquestionable. The game does not need to be free. It needs to feel necessary. In Episode 1, the NFL was cracking. In Episode 2, people started replacing. In Episode 3, found out what they are building instead. A game where the call may come from an office. A tradition that now costs a subscription. A sport still called football, but increasingly being run like a platform. The coaches need to keep their jobs, so they speak carefully. The owners need the revenue to keep growing, so they vote for more control. And the fans need to feel the game is still theirs, so they keep subscribing. That is the system. Watch closely, because by the time this feels normal, will be too late to remember what it used to feel like. There will not be a moment you can point to. There will not be an announcement. It will just already be normal, and you will be sitting on that same couch, paying for it, watching it, still calling it yours. When the people who profit from the outcome have influence over the decision, you are not just watching a sport anymore, you are watching a system. And the question is, do you see it before it becomes normal?